Hi, my name is Laura Schwartz and I'm a regional consultant in the Midwest. And today we're going to focus on a follow-up session for Read 180 Universal. And this session is from Routines and Instructional Technology. And I'm going to share with you information about the independent reading rotation. And basically what we want to do in this rotation is to have students develop a love for reading, and also at the same time be accountable for their reading. And students will have choice with the books that they can read, and we want to have those books be within their reading level so they can be successful. So the independent reading program includes many resources for students. There are 30 paperback books that students can choose from. There are 46 ebooks, 5 audiobooks to select, 36 e-reads, and there's also 10 books that are shared between different stages. What I'd like you to do now with your partner, your elbow partner, is to talk about some of the successes that you've had so far with independent reading and some of the challenges that you've had. So take a moment and talk about your successes and your challenges. Now that you've had a chance to discuss that, I'd like you to share with us some of the strategies that you've used that have been successful in managing independent reading. Thank you for sharing. Let's take a look at this text complexity icon. You can see that it has 3 components to it. There is a lexile, which is the quantitative value, and this is the number that the students get after they take the reading inventory. And this is determined by word length, sentence structure, and so forth. There's also a qualitative measure, and the qualitative measure can run from simple to complex. And the qualitative measure, let me give you an example. For example, the book by Elie Wiesel, Night, only has a lexile of 570, yet it's considered very complex because of the subject matter. We're talking about the Holocaust. And let's contrast that to Charlotte's Web, which has the same lexile of 570, but we're talking about a spider, so it's considered a more simple text. The final category in the icon is the reader and task, and that's the teacher's knowledge of the student, knowing, let's say you have a student who's really interested in baseball. Well, that student can read a book at a much higher level than their actual lexile level because they've got the vocabulary and the interest in baseball. So that kind of explains how students can be guided to choose books by their interest and their reading levels based on the text complexity. So when you're guiding students' choices, consider the text complexity, their areas of interest, how familiar are they with that content, and as I said before, if they're very familiar with the content, then you can push them to a higher reading level, a book that has more text complexity. Let's take a look at what students see on their screen in Student Central. When they log on and they're in the independent reading rotation, they're going to see all the books that are in the program that they can choose from. They're going to also see what their lexile is, how many words they've read they can look at, how many books they've completed, and how many points they've earned from taking reading counts quizzes. They also have a reading list, and the reading list has up to 4 selections. And this was based on their interests when they took the reading inventory. They also took an interest survey, and from that, based on their lexile and their interest, they now have a collection of books to choose from. They can edit this list by removing and adding different books. They can also read a synopsis about the book that they're choosing. And they can also get the activities, the quick writes, the graphic organizers, and the quizzes from here. And the quick writes they can type online. The graphic organizers, they have to print out a PDF hard copy and write on. They can also do some editing to their reading lists. And they can look at all the titles that are there, and they can select books by the title. They can also select books by the Lexile range that they're in. Now this is what it looks like when the students are reading an ebook online, kind of like a Kindle experience. At the bottom they have different icons. The first icon helps them advance to the next page. Or actually, I'm sorry, the first icon takes away the toolbar screen, so they can see the entire text. The next one shows them what the chapters are, so they can move into different chapters. If they have to go back and look for text evidence, they can go back into a different chapter more quickly. The next one helps them scroll through those pages in the book. They can also listen to the book, and they can adjust the speed of the reading when they do so. And they can enlarge the book, enlarge the screen. They can highlight, text mark the screen, and save it. And they can look at a double page. And finally here, they can also get to their quick writes and graphic organizers and the quizzes. There are 3 quizzes per text, and there's a challenge quiz, and there's also regular quizzes. If a student chooses to take a regular quiz, they can't then change their mind and try the challenge quiz. However, if a student fails the challenge quiz, they can go back and take a regular quiz. And the quiz points vary based on the number of word count, and they must pass the quiz to mark it as complete. The quizzes have 10 questions, and there's also quizzes for e-reads, and those have 5 questions. The default for passing in your computer for the regular quizzes is 70%. For the e-reads, it's going to be 80%. To hold students accountable, this is an example of a quick write. And here's an example of graphic organizers. And also the quizzes that they take that helps them be held accountable, where they get more points for the challenge quiz than the regular quiz. And this is what a quiz would look like, and they can review it and see what they got right and what their errors were. Now you're going to be watching a video about independent reading, and it's a check-in that the teacher does. So I want you to be looking at what the methods are that she uses and see if these are some things that you might want to incorporate when you are checking in with students about independent reading. And we're going to, due to the lack of time, we're going to skip through that. It's also very important to hold independent reading conferences with students. And these are about 1 to 4 minutes long, and you can hold them each quarter. So you're going to review with the student their independent reading report, which shows the scores they get on their quizzes. And you're going to prompt students to make connections between the book and themselves. And you can also, in teacher resources,